As I grown out of toys and started looking around, at ripe age of 16, I started feeling that our world is going in the wrong direction. I could not quite put my finger on the problem, but history always fascinated me. And some of the historical books I got my hands on covered the last days of the now expired civilizations. And at some point it struck me, that's it. A lot of things that scholars of antiquity were covering corresponds with what I could see around me. Too much for comfort, actually. I decided to give structure to events they described, and thus came up with 10 signs that show up when civilization is on its last breath. It's my subjective point of view, of course. I am far from claiming I got everything right, nor am I in the business of doomsday predictions. Sure as hell is hot, it's not a call to arms. These are not the problems that can be solved by simple violence. The way I see these things corresponds closer to the AA meetings. First step to solving a problem is recognizing we have one. Also, I hope you can appreciate the fact that I am living in one of the most democratic and freedom-loving countries on the planet. It is so democratic and liberal here that free speech quickly becomes a thing of the past. There are debates about abolishing the idea truth doesn't have to be pleasant. Truth's only obligation is to be in favor of, if someone finds your truth offensive, so much the worse for your truth. The number one principle of New Age democracy, the one that says you got the right to agree or right to shut up, is being enforced. So it will be one hell of an interesting experience. To avoid the boys in blue slapping a pair of handcuffs on your humble servant at some point and confiscating his kids for perceived lack of tolerance, I will have to perform some type of mental gymnastics. To, on one hand, say things as they are, and on the other to make sure that no snowflakes experience a meltdown. After I am done with this project, I think my brain will learn how to do the splits. Aim of this video essay is to identify problems, know what to prepare for, and how to soften the fall. To conclude it, I will ask and attempt to answer 2 eternal questions: whose fault it is and what to do. First sign I call Passage of Pinnacle. Civilizations, as everything in the world, go through various stages all the way down to an often inglorious end. From rise, when everything looks like there will be no end to the glory, when cultural influence and military might seem to steamroll any opposition, to stagnation and decadence of the descendants of once glorious ancestors, when the harvest of strenuous labors gets pissed away and disappears like fart in the wind, to a sharp decline when a certain critical mass of problems gets accumulated, a straight drop to the depths of the historical irrelevance. What is currently called Western civilization is a curious thing. With all my knowledge of politics and history, I don't recall anything quite like that. Neither London nor Washington or Paris can be allocated a definitive position of center, even though Anglo-Saxon peoples are kind of backbone, most clear representatives of it. Perhaps the Christian religion is the most commonly shared trait that holds this amorphous mass together, brings order to that chaos. Now this civilization, utilizing worst aspects of the globalization, have spread all across the globe. Thus, when it falls, aftershocks of this catastrophe will be felt all across our planet. Another thing that makes it complicated is that we all live in it, in the now. It was noticed that every time people that were witnesses to the civilizational collapse were absolutely oblivious to it. Vast majority of people were 100% sure that things are better than ever and keep improving. Few people that were trying to draw attention to what's going on were looked up on like false prophets, conspiracy theorists. Any problematic tendencies were swept under the rug rather than dealt with, until it was too late to do anything. Let us try to find that point of zenith, after which our civilization entered prolonged period of stagnation. It's not an easy task. The power of retrospective allows us to clearly see when older empires stumbled. But here, yet I will try regardless. Of course, my point of view is entirely subjective. If we look at colonial era, I would place the pinnacle at the end of 18th, beginning of 19th centuries. That's when American colonies broke away from the British Empire and Spanish colonial power took critical hits. Also, if we think when the great cultural geniuses like Michelangelo, Shakespeare, Mozart, and others were influencing the world for centuries to come, I would also place them close to that time frame. At or around that period of time was when a handful of Western soldiers easily conquered and controlled entire continents. The situation with scientific achievements is a bit different. As far as I am concerned, most of the most important inventions happened in second half of 19th, earlier 20th century. What we have now is but improvement of technology acquired then. Yet, for the most part, I am convinced that the unstoppable rising of Western civilization was curbed at 18th century and slow decline began. To be continued